Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're playing Uncharted 4, and this is my crushing difficulty guide and walkthrough. We're currently on chapter 12 of 22. It is entitled At Sea. So guess who had to do the previous chapter over again? Do you remember in the last video I was mentioning that sometimes it wasn't giving me the signifier for crushing when I had defeated a chapter going through chapter select? Well, after I had, and I apologize for having to mention this really quickly, but it could help somebody else. When I finished the last chapter, I did get the signifier that I had beat it on crushing. Going through chapter select, it said, highest difficulty completed, crushing. I distinctly saw that it did say crushing, and I went about my business, did a few things, came back, closed out the software. Because what I usually do is whenever the game's been on too long, I like to just close out the software and reload it, make sure everything's, all refreshed, and I won't have any issues with the software having any frame dips or anything. But then when I reloaded my data and scrolled through the list, it said I had only beat chapter 11 on the hardest difficulty of moderate. So I had to redo chapter 11, and it's not that there's some issue other than just be careful when you are closing out the software, and when you do finish a chapter, at least get to the first checkpoint of the next chapter just to be safe. I don't think that it will be 100%, guaranteed that everybody will never have that problem. But I have run into that problem a couple of times. It's the second time on my walkthrough that I've encountered that problem, and it's quite annoying, especially when you have to go through a quite tedious chapter. So this chapter is very laid back, and it's all just mountaineering, bonding with your brother, and a puzzle at the end. And there are a ton of treasures. You can take the boat around the whole series of islands and inlets and all that, and you can get all the treasures and everything like that. So I've already done that, and we're just going to be going through the chapter in the normal vein. So anyway, welcome back to the walkthrough. I hope that you're doing well. I hope that if you are needing the walkthrough, I hope, as always, that it is doing for you what I intended it for you to do, which is to help you out and cause you the minimal amount of frustration. Because let's face it, when you are playing a game that you're quite frustrated at, there's nothing like finding a good walkthrough on the internet and finding a persona that can guide you through the process, help you out, and not annoy you too much with the person speaking. Although many a time people will comment on the videos and saying, this guy talks too much. Well, since I am doing a commentated run, I have to fill the video with audio. So that criticism, while I can understand people, might not like my voice, might not like my persona, that's perfectly fine. But you have to realize that this is a commentated run, and I'm trying to have as minimal amount of awkward silences on the video and things like that. So beyond that, though, we're just scaling cliffs, roping around, doing this terrific mountaineering. And this game really feels to me like, well, it's always been that way. It feels like you're in really good hands. And it was so meticulously made as far as the mechanics and the platforming. Of course, every now and then you get a little hiccup and something, you fall into your death at some points and things don't go right. But for the most part, it does a pretty damn good job. Much better a job than you would expect, being a AAA game. And I really have to to give that credit, because a game of this scale, it's got to be hard to have everything sync up properly in every aspect of the game. And this is a very good segue, I think, into Chapter 13. And I will give you, I did outline everything on the epilogue about what I was going to be doing. So Chapter 13 has the notorious fight. That's a really long fight without a checkpoint. And it's one of the only fights in the game that I enjoy doing as a fight, because it involves a lot of good challenge. It involves some stealth. It involves you being able to backtrack and de-escalate things and fight things on your own terms with a large amount of risk. It's definitely difficult, but it's not the type of thing that I like to go through just through stealth. I have never gone through Chapter 13 sneaking all the way through it. And I never will, because I just don't enjoy doing that. We all do what we enjoy on these sorts of games. And of course, you could say something like, well, you're just saying that because you can't do it, and you're just saying that you like it this way and that way just to suit your own needs at any given time in the walkthrough. I guess I could understand that criticism, but I'm honestly just letting you know what I enjoy and what I don't. I mean, we don't have to do stealth, and you don't have to shoot. You could do what you like on these games. I mean, you're going to have to acquiesce in some manner to get through it. You can't just, completely do what you want. But for the most part, you can do stealth here, shooting here, combination there, anything to help out. And anyway, when you do get up to that platform up there, you need to hook your rope against the tree and then come on down here. There's a couple of ways that you can go here. Some of them will end up in a dead end, so I'm just trying to streamline this as much as possible. Of course, if you go off the beaten path, there's a lot of treasures and different things. I think there's a like a special, like a secret. There's like a couple of treasures in this game that are have a special distinction as being higher up. I'm not sure what they are, but there's like a couple. You know what they do sometimes in these games. They'll have different treasures that amount to, well, they don't really amount to anything. It's just that they're special. They're kind of like an Easter egg in the game. I think there is one on this chapter somewhere. For instance, you might find a firefly pendant at some point, and then there's a special trophies that you can interact with sometimes and get other trophies within the menu, things like that. But I really have to say that the HDR makes a huge difference. It really does, because when you don't have HDR on, it really the colors are all washed out, and it just doesn't look good at all. But it's a pretty succinct chapter. Now, the puzzle that's coming up over here, it's going to want you to rotate different spheres at any given time. There's 3 sets of spheres that you're going to be manipulating. There's 2 spheres per trial phase, and at first it starts out easy, where the spheres will rotate independently of each other and not cause you to have to look at the other sphere and kind of adjust it and make other concessions and allowances. But it has to do with rotating. There are some places on the grid where when you move the sphere, you can rotate the particular placard that you're using, and some of the times the spheres necessarily will be rotating together, and it's going to cause you to have to make those adjustments that I mentioned. So I will get you through this as best as possible. So this first one, it wants you to rotate the globe here so that the dark half is on the left. And as you can see, when we adjust this one, there's no dependence on the other one. The other one doesn't move while we're moving the one that looks like a half moon there. But you want to turn this to W, and then you want to move this back into the light. And each time that you do this correctly, Sam will say something in a positive manner, indicating that you've done it correctly. So that's the first one. So as we move up, there's going to be some lines on these circular globes up here. And on this particular one, we're going to be moving this first one. We're going to turn around first, and we're going to be placing the globe right over here, right there, right above where the half moon thing is, with the black on the left and the white on the right. So you want to turn that thus amount of times. I think that was 4 turns, and then this one you want to turn this one twice, right here. And that position, I was just manipulating that last sphere. It wasn't affecting the other one. That's not going to be the case with the other spheres on the very top. I'm not sure what they are. They're not. I think they're man and woman signs. I'm not remembering that correctly, maybe, but it doesn't much matter. So what's going to happen is, even though these spheres that we're going to be moving now depend upon one another, I will show you the way to do this. So you want to move this to the area to the right of that lit area. Move it thusly, and then you want to drag this all the way over here. And then we're going to be moving the one with the arrow, and you want to end up right above where that W globe is. And then I believe this is another turn of 4 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that will cause these to line up properly when we move them back into the light segments. And then I believe that is all that you need to do. Okay, perfect. Okay, so, and there is a checkpoint in between each one as well. And you can, I don't know if you can reset what you've done, but if you resume the previous checkpoint, it should bring it back to what it was, so that you can kind of bring everything back to how it started you out, just in case you've made some wrong turns and things like that. But I do think this chapter has some really good lead up to chapter 13. It's got some good foreshadowing at the end, because once we get out of here, it is going to start to rain, and this is going to bring us right in sync with I'm sorry, did I say epilogue previously? I meant prologue. I'm sorry. Right in line with the prologue. So do you remember in the prologue how things began in media res, which is to say in the middle of the actual story? Well, we're going to be linking right up with the middle of the story right after we get back to the other side of the island and look through the Avery binoculars. And as good storytelling will dictate, we don't need a rehash of the prologue, because we've already done it and we know what happened. We crashed into a large boat at the end of the prologue, and we're adrift. So now we're going to be syncing back up with that and seeing where it takes us. Well, it's going to take us to a pretty brutal place. Maybe not at first, but definitely when you get into that fight. I've seen many people go through the fight stealthily. I think there is an achievement slash not. It wouldn't be an achievement, would it? Look at this. I like how they put a nice opening here for you. They have everything so conveniently laid out for you. It's really nice, thoughtful, considerate, very nice too. Kind, I think, is a better word. But yeah, it's going to seem pretty brutal, and I have seen many people do it. just not something I care to do. And whether you think that I'm saying that because I cannot do it or just because I'm trying to utter it out of my own convenience, well, I probably, to be honest, I might not be able to do it, without snapping as a human being. But anyway, I think it's what I like about it though is that there aren't many fights in this game that I enjoy as fights, and when I do come across one that I do enjoy as a fight that's challenging, and I just want to take advantage of that because there just aren't enough fights in this game that I enjoy as fights, and I think that as you play your campaign, do whatever you want to as well. I'm trying to teach you the stealth tactics as well as the fighting tactics. So you've got all the bases covered. So that has been chapter 12. I will see you in the 13th chapter. And until we do see each other there, please continue to take care.